You're exhausted. Maybe you don't even fully understand why, but you feel it. There's this constant sense that you're carrying an invisible burden, like it's your responsibility to maintain balance, to please everyone, to avoid confrontation, to always be kind, compassionate, courteous. You were taught early on that being a good person was the right path, that the good always triumph in the end, that if you show kindness, others will return it, that being fair, honest, humble would bring you recognition from the world. But what if I told you that all of this is a lie? A comforting lie designed to keep you in check, predictable, and controllable. How many times have you stayed quiet to preserve peace? How often have you erased parts of yourself just to avoid disappointing others? How many times have you let people walk all over you, take advantage of you, and still you smiled and said, "It's all right," swallowing your tears, your anger, your pride, all in the name of a virtue that only led to being ignored? Listen closely. The world does not reward the nice ones. It rewards the ones who play the game strategically. If you're here, it's because you felt this truth yourself. You've been frustrated, trying to be the nice one, the good person, the understanding friend. And now you're starting to see, the more you try to be accepted, the less you are respected. The more you give, the more they take. The more you give, the less they appreciate you. That's where Machiavelli enters the picture. Machiavelli was not the villain many believe him to be. He might have been the first to expose the raw truth about how power operates. He understood something that most people refuse to accept, that pure morality, divorced from reality, is a trap. That being seen as good doesn't equate to being effective, fair, or worthy. In this video, we're going to speak plainly, without masks, about why you need to stop trying to be a good person. And no, that doesn't mean turning cruel or cold. It means waking up, awakening from the naive illusion that the world is just, and that being virtuous alone will lead to rewards. We'll expose the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. As long as you're trying to please everyone, you'll be in their grasp, a prisoner to your own kindness. And if you're tired of being used, ignored, discarded, maybe it's time to change, to learn from Machiavelli what they never taught you and finally take control of your life. Ready? Then let's begin. Do you still believe that the world values good people? Take a look around. Who are the ones most admired? Who holds leadership positions? Who earns respect, influence, space? Are they the most generous, the most compassionate, the most just? Or are they the most strategic, the most assertive, the hardest to manipulate? The truth is harsh. The world doesn't operate on kindness, but on utility. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He didn't write The Prince to teach how to be malicious. He wrote it to reveal how the game is truly played. And one of the harshest lessons he teaches us is this: being good isn't enough. In many situations, being good is the fastest way to be discarded. You can spend your life being loyal, kind, and understanding. You can give your all, help others with no expectation of anything in return. But the day you're no longer useful, you'll be forgotten, replaced, silenced. And the worst part, without an ounce of guilt from the other side. Because the world doesn't measure your worth by your morality. It measures by what you contribute, by the influence you wield, by the impact you leave behind. Have you noticed that the nice ones are always chasing approval, always justifying themselves, explaining their actions, trying to prove they deserve respect? Meanwhile, those who set boundaries, who say no, who present themselves clearly, they're respected, they have a voice, they take up space. And why? Because blind kindness is perceived as weakness. Because those who never confront are never seen as a threat, and those who do not threaten are not taken seriously. They are viewed as a resource, not as a presence, as a tool, not as an individual. You can exhaust yourself trying to please, but if you don't represent power or consequence, no one will hesitate to use you. It's harsh, I know, but it's the reality. Machiavelli stated that a leader should not seek to be loved, but to be feared if forced to choose between the two. What did he mean by that? True respect comes from being perceived as someone with the power to act, someone who cannot be trampled without consequence, someone who is not a disposable piece in someone else's game. And this applies to you too. If you keep living to please, you'll continue to be seen as someone easy to discard. Not because you're a bad person, but because the world does not reward those who fade into the background. It's time to understand where this unhealthy need for constant approval comes from. Because behind your kindness, there's something deeper. Something that may have been undermining you for years. And that's exactly what we're going to explore. Now, in the next part, we'll dive into the psychological roots of those who live to please and uncover why often being nice is just a masked form of fear. If this resonates with you, hit the subscribe button and join us. Thank you for your support. You weren't born wanting to please everyone. That was taught to you. And worse, it was conditioned into you. Since childhood, you learned that acceptance came at a cost, giving up pieces of yourself. Forced smiles, suppressed desires, silenced voices, all in exchange for approval. From don't do that, it's rude, to be nice, to don't argue, you're so polite. And so, little by little, you molded yourself to meet others' expectations. But what no one told you is that constantly pleasing others is an emotional trap, a psychological prison built with poison praise and punishment disguised as guidance. You learned that if you made others happy, you would be loved, and that if you showed anger, set boundaries, or acted selfishly, you'd be rejected. So you did what any mind would do to survive. You adapted. The problem is, this adaptation turned into submission. Today, you no longer know how to say no without guilt. You feel responsible for others' happiness, even if it drains you. You feel frustrated, but keep it inside. You get disappointed, but forgive too easily. You exhaust yourself trying to maintain an image that others expect, not because it's who you are, but because it's what you learned would make you feel safe. But here's a wake-up call. This isn't kindness. This is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of not being loved, fear of being seen as bad, fear of showing who you truly are, with desires, with anger, with boundaries, with a voice. And this fear has transformed you into someone who sabotages themselves, someone who hides behind socially accepted but emotionally damaging behaviors. And the most tragic part? You don't even realize it. You call it empathy, but it's fear of confrontation. You call it understanding, but it's fear of abandonment. You call it kindness, but it's fear of not being enough. Your kindness is, in fact, a mask, an unconscious defense against the pain of rejection. But this mask comes at a steep price. It smothers your authenticity, your power, and your dignity. And if you don't remove it, it will cling to you. It will become your identity. And one day you'll look in the mirror and no longer recognize who you really are. But there's a way back. And to find it, we need to learn from someone who understood the power of image, perception, and strategy better than anyone. Machiavelli. In the next part, we're going straight to the heart of it. What the prince can teach us about stopping being a hostage to our need to appear good and starting to earn respect for who we truly are. If you're living to be a good person, hoping others will recognize your morality, your ethics, and your integrity, stop now. Machiavelli warned over 500 years ago, this path is beautiful but dangerous. In the real world, it is not the good who win. It is the effective who win. And effectiveness in the game of life requires strategy. It requires understanding that people don't act based on your goodness. They act driven by their interests, fears, and the quest for power. In The Prince, Machiavelli writes, everyone sees what you appear to be, but few feel what you really are. This sentence is a sharp blow to the illusion that being pure, authentic, and true is enough to earn respect. The reality is harsh. People do not see your intentions. They react to your image, your appearance, your impact. You could be the most just person alive, but if you seem weak, you will be treated as weak. You might have the most generous heart, but if you fail to inspire respect, you will be ignored. And that's why the prince, and here, the prince is you, teaches this. Anyone who wants control over their life cannot afford to be naive. You must appear virtuous when it's convenient and be strategic when necessary. Machiavelli says the prince must understand the nature of animals. He must be a fox to spot traps and a lion to scare off wolves. This is a brutally honest metaphor. The fox is clever, sees hidden dangers, and moves in silence. The lion, however, projects fear, strength, and presence. Machiavelli does not tell you to be one or the other. He says to be both. Be smart enough to recognize who is manipulating you and strong enough to make others think twice before trying it. Do you want respect? Then understand that the virtue Machiavelli recommends is not the one preached by moralists. It is a virtue, an alloy of courage, intelligence, boldness, and self-control. It's acting with detachment when necessary. It's knowing that sometimes appearing ruthless is the only way to maintain order. Not out of malice, but out of wisdom. Here's another quote from him. A man who wishes to act in all circumstances like a good man is doomed to ruin among so many who are not good. And you know this. You've been that person. You've tried to be good in every situation. And what did you get? Abuse, silence, injustice. People don't play fair. And if you continue to play as though they do, you will always lose. This doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means stopping the use of those values as shackles. It means starting to act with power, to think about how your goodness is perceived and manipulated by others. Machiavelli wasn't cynical. He was realistic. He saw humanity without romanticism, without rose-colored lenses. He wrote The Prince as a guide for surviving in a world where appearance is power and weakness disguised as virtue is a death sentence. But perhaps now you're asking, is there a way to balance this? How can I stop being naive without becoming cold or cruel? In the next part, we'll dismantle the false dichotomy that you only have two choices, to be nice or to be ruthless. There's a middle path, and it starts with the strength to stop deceiving yourself. There's a fatal confusion that ruins many lives. The idea that to be good, one must be submissive. That to be a good person, you must accept everything silently, forgive everything without question, and keep swallowing what bothers you to maintain peace. This is not kindness. This is naivety. It's cowardice disguised as virtue. And if you don't recognize the difference, you'll remain the emotional doormat of the world. True kindness does not require self-annihilation. It demands awareness, clarity, and choice. Being good does not mean being a cheerful fool, always available, always smiling, always sacrificing for those who wouldn't lift a finger for you. This is self-abandonment. It's emotional dependence dressed up as morality. Naivety believes people will treat you with the same heart you have. Naivety believes the world is fair, and that if you're integral, others will recognize that. Naivety expects gratitude, reciprocity, and consideration. And it lives frustrated. It lives disappointed because it projects onto others a nobility that doesn't exist. True kindness is not weak. It is firm. It knows how to say no. It understands when to walk away. It recognizes that not everyone deserves your best, and that giving your best to those who have nothing to offer in return is waste, not generosity. You can be just, compassionate, and integral, and still be feared, still be respected, still be someone who commands presence, someone who knows what they will tolerate and what they will not accept. Machiavelli, though he may seem cruel by today's standards, did not despise virtue. He despised naivety. He understood that in a world filled with predators, kindness without strength is simply fresh meat in the jungle. The question you must ask yourself now is your kindness protecting you or exposing you? Is it empowering you or draining you? Because if your version of being good involves swallowing injustices, accepting scraps, and blaming yourself for feeling anger, then you are not being good. You are being dominated, and there is a remedy for this. There is a balance point where you do not have to give up your essence, but you also do not have to kneel to anyone. A place where you can act with courage, clarity, and emotional intelligence. In the next part, we will explore this path. We'll discuss how to stop being nice without becoming a scoundrel, and how to finally regain control of your life without betraying your true self. If you want to regain your self-respect, this is where the transformation begins. Many people who awaken to their own submission fall into a dangerous trap. They think they need to become cold, insensitive, almost cruel to stop being nice. This is the famous rebound effect. After years of being exploited, you believe the only way out is to become the opposite. Tough, indifferent, calculating. But this is yet another trap. When you abandon your essence, you are not strengthening yourself. You are protecting yourself through denial. And that is not freedom. It is trauma disguised as power. True liberation comes when you learn to be whole, when you stop acting for others and begin acting for yourself. It's not about being good or bad. It's about being real. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing that you can be kind, but you will never again be passive. You can be compassionate, but you will never again be permissive. You can extend a hand, but you will no longer beg to be seen. So how do you stop being nice without betraying who you are? First, understand that your voice matters. You've been conditioned to think that complaining, setting boundaries, or disagreeing is selfish. But that is a lie. Selfishness is expecting you to live silently while others speak over you. Speaking up, taking a stand, saying, "I do not accept this," that is dignity. That is self-respect. Second, practice saying no. Saying no is one of the most liberating acts there are. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be shouted. A calm, firm, and non-negotiable no carries more power than 1,000 justifications. It communicates something vital. You have limits. And those who have limits are respected. Those who don't are exploited. Third, observe who is bothered by your change. These people are the thermometer. If you start asserting yourself and someone says you're different, strange, or selfish, it's because your submission was useful to them. When you change, you break the invisible pact that allowed them to use you. That will make them uncomfortable. But don't be fooled. This is a sign of progress. Fourth, stop trying to be understood by everyone. Not everyone will understand your transformation, and that's okay. You do not owe loyalty to the image they created of you. Your loyalty should be to your truth, to your peace, and to your emotional health. Fifth, replace the desire to be accepted with a commitment to authenticity. When you act authentically, you may displease some, but you will attract the respect of those who truly matter. And more than that, you will begin to respect yourself. And that is the kind of respect no one can ever take away. Machiavelli did not write to teach you cruelty. He wrote to teach you how to stop being naive. And the greatest naivety is the belief that being nice is enough to earn respect in this world. It is not. It takes courage to abandon the role of pleaser. It takes strength to be who you are without asking for permission. But the journey is far from over. Now comes the decisive moment, the choice between continuing to sabotage yourself or finally taking the reins of your own life. In this last part, we will end with a direct, brutal, and necessary wake-up call to understand that your obsession with being good may be costing you everything. The time has come to decide. Do you want to be loved or do you want to be free? It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. How long will you keep pretending to be the nice guy? How long will you sacrifice your energy, your voice, your dignity, just to maintain an image that isn't even yours, but one that others expect of you? Do you really think this is virtue? That it's nobility? This is a prison, a psychological prison, an emotional prison, a cell decorated with false compliments, where you're applauded for being harmless, for being predictable, for not being a threat. But I'll tell you something that maybe no one has had the courage to say before. No one is coming to free you from this. No one will show up, thank you for all your sacrifices, give you the respect you deserve, and say, now you can rest. That's not going to happen. Because as long as you're willing to be used, there will always be someone willing to use you. This isn't malice, it's reality. And reality doesn't bend to good intentions. You can keep playing that ideal of a good person that society has shoved onto you. Calm, patient, understanding, always available, always saying yes. But know this, you're preparing yourself for a future of frustration, resentment, and invisibility. Or you can wake up. You can decide right here, right now, that your kindness will no longer be a collar around your neck, that you will act with intention, with presence, with firmness, that you will choose when to be generous and to whom, that you will no longer give what you don't receive, that you will no longer live seeking the approval of others like a dog begging for affection. The truth is simple. The world respects those who respect themselves, and you will only be free when you stop asking for permission to exist. So, I ask you, when was the last time you said no without guilt? When was the last time you put yourself first? When was the last time you did something for yourself without thinking about how others would react? Tell me in the comments. I want to know the moment you realized that being nice was destroying you. This conversation needs to continue because so many people are living in the same prison, and you could be the spark that wakes someone up. And if this video made you rethink your life, your actions, and how you see yourself, then you need to watch the next one. Trust me, it's important. The journey is just beginning.